יש לנו תורה, יש לנו תורה, יש לנו תורה מיוחדת במינה. בבתי הכנסת השמחה חוגגת. יש לנו תורה, יש לנו תורה, יש לנו תורה, יש לנו תורה, יש לנו תורה מיוחדת במינה. בבתי הכנסת השמחה חוגגת. יש לנו תורה, יש לנו תורה.
Hag Sameach. Happy festival to you. I'm Rabbi Don Levy, coming to you from my home in Ashkelon, Israel, under the sponsorship of Jewish Journeys of the Gold Coast, Australia. I want to tell you a little bit about the Festival of Sukkot, or Festival of Booths, sometimes called, especially in Christian circles, the Feast of Tabernacles. Sukkot is a lovely holiday that brings to mind Rodney Dangerfield, who used to say, "I don't get no respect." So if a Jewish holiday was able to talk, Sukkot just might be complaining constantly that it doesn't get any respect. Why not? Because it starts on the 5th day after Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is a very serious, sacred, and heavy day where more Jews attend synagogue than any other day of the year, and the themes are very heavy, that we're all sinners, and if we're going to live good lives, we need to repent of all of our misdeeds and mistakes and shortcomings and transcend them in the coming year. It's a very difficult message, necessary one, but a difficult one nonetheless. So, on the 5th day after this important day, we have the Festival of Sukkot, which is a very joyous festival. It lasts a week, 8 days in the diaspora outside of Israel. And it has two themes. First of all, there's an agricultural theme. It is, at its heart, a harvest festival, and therefore in many ways the Jewish equivalent of the American holiday Thanksgiving, which happens a little later in the year in November. Sukkot happens on the 15th day of the month of Tishrei. So think about that. It happens on the day of the full moon of the harvest season, the harvest moon, as it's called. And it's a festival whose theme is giving thanks for the bounty of the harvest, giving thanks to God for keeping us in the year just past and enabling us to reach the point of the harvest and giving us a harvest worthy of our labors so that we can sustain ourselves in the year to come. The second theme is God's providence in keeping us safe through the times of Jewish wandering, specifically the 40 years wandering in the desert before Moses and the people Israel were, having left Egypt, were able to enter the land, the promised land, the land of Canaan, the land that came to be known as the land of Israel. But by extension, we often think of it as a festival that reminds us of God's mercy and care whenever we are in exile. And philosophically, Jews, whenever they are outside the land of Israel, are in exile. No matter how comfortable might be their circumstances, there is always, on some level, felt the pain of exile from the land that belongs to the Jews. So those are the two themes. We have a number of symbols, very important symbols of the festival. The first of which is the sukkah, right? The festival is called Sukkot, booths, it's the plural, and the singular is sukkah, or sometimes we emphasize the first syllable and call it a sukkah. A sukkah is a temporary structure that we are told to dwell in for the duration of the holiday. It has to be open to the elements, so it doesn't have a solid roof. It has a roof with gaps in it, so that we can look up through the roof on the sukkah and we can see the stars, and also get rained upon. So we have this temporary structure that we are supposed to dwell in for 7 days, 8 days if we are living outside the land of Israel. But outside the land of Israel, apart from the extra day, Jews are often living in places where by this time of year it's starting to get a little chilly and stormy. So the rabbis, in interpreting what are our Jewish obligations, never intended for these obligations to be onerous for Jews to follow. So in defining what it meant to dwell in this temporary structure, understanding that many Jews live in places where it's very uncomfortable to actually live full-time in a temporary structure which is open to the elements, they defined dwelling as taking one's meals in that structure. And to further define, what does it mean to take a meal? It means to eat bread, because it's not a meal without bread, to eat bread of a quantity of at least that of a swollen date. So if one lives where it's not only starting to get chilly at this time of year, but it's stormy at this time of year, and it would be quite uncomfortable even to sit in the sukkah to eat a full meal, it's only required to go out into the sukkah to say the blessing over the bread and to eat enough bread, again, of approximately the size of a swollen date, so that one would be required to say Birkat HaMazon, the blessing after the meal, afterwards. So having eaten that much bread, if it's uncomfortable to continue eating in the sukkah, then it's perfectly permissible to go inside one's normal home, hermetically sealed or otherwise, and eat the rest of one's meal and then say the blessing after the meal. But if one eats that small amount of bread, having said the blessing over the bread in the sukkah, then one has fulfilled the obligation to dwell in the sukkah. So the sukkah, just as the festival itself has a dual meaning, the sukkah has a dual meaning too. Just as the festival is a harvest festival, the sukkah brings to mind how the ancient Israelites, once they had established their country and established farms and homes and all that, when it came time for the harvest, they would go out into their fields and erect a temporary shelter so that they could dwell in the field with their crop until the entire crop is brought in. So, in that sense, the sukkah is reminiscent of this sort of harvest shelter. The second meaning is to remind us of the 40 years wandering and therefore all exile and wandering by extension. And in that sense, the sukkah is meant to evoke the tents in which the Israelites dwelt while they were wandering until they were able to enter the promised land and establish homes and farms and towns and cities and businesses. So the sukkah has a dual meaning to match the two different meanings of the holiday itself. So it runs for 7 days, and the first day and the last day, or in the diaspora, the first 2 days and the last 2 days of the 8, are days of obligation, sort of like a Sabbath, where work is proscribed or forbidden, and all manner of activities that allude to work are also proscribed, similar to the weekly Sabbath, the weekly seventh day, but not quite the same. Certain differences. And the intermediate days in between those days of obligation, which we refer to as Hol HaMoed, which means literally the ordinary of the sacred, or the ordinary of the festival, it's permitted to go about your business. After all, one has to earn a living. And we are commemorating the, at least in part, the harvest, where the farmers get to see the kind of livelihood that all of their efforts during the planting and cultivation season will give them to sustain them during the lean months of the year. So during those intermediate days, we are able to pursue our occupations. If you live in Israel or come to Israel during the Festival of Sukkot, what you will find is that many Israelis take a holiday for the entirety of Sukkot, some traveling abroad, but many traveling within Israel and enjoying the land and days out during the time. There are a lot of public entertainments. In the evenings, there are open air shows. There are special programs on television. People go camping and they go to enjoy the beach, and they have cookouts and all the things that people elsewhere do to enjoy themselves on a free day. The schools are all closed for the duration of the holiday, so parents of school-age children generally take time off from work and will do things as a family. So it's really a wonderful time of the year, very, very deep in meaning. Again, the problem is that it comes right after the 10 days of repentance that start with Rosh Hashanah and end with Yom Kippur, which is the most religiously active time probably for most diaspora Jews, and many Jews in Israel as well. And so many are starting to get weary of the synagogue and rituals and will not give the holiday of Sukkot the attention that it really deserves, not giving it the respect that it would like to have, and therefore, I believe, miss out on something that's really wonderful and joyous. So now, we're going to sample some of the rituals of Sukkot. First of all, on the eve of Sukkot, the evening of Sukkot, when the festival begins, there is a special Kiddush, and I'm ready to demonstrate that for you. I am using the Siddur Mishkan Tefillah, the Reformed Siddur. If you are using that Siddur, you will find the Kiddush for the festival. If you have the 2-book set, one book for Shabbat and the other book for weekdays and festivals. You'll find it in the Weekdays and Festivals volume on page 122. If you have the single combined volume, you'll find it on page 386. So here we go with the Kiddush for the evening, the first evening of Sukkot. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol am veromamanu mikol lashon v'kiddushanu b'mitzvotav. Vatiten lanu Adonai Eloheinu be'ahava moadim l'simcha hagim uzmanim l'sason et yom hag hasukot hazeh zman simchatenu mikra kodesh zecher litziat mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim u'moadei kodshecha b'simcha uv'sason hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh Yisrael v'hazmanim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyemanu Vehigianu lazman hazeh. Down the hatch. I know some don't like the sweet wine, but I do. And if you do, like me, then enjoy it. Okay, I thought I had to get out of that stuffy library and into my living room. I am, after all, coming to you from Israel. In Israel, at the time of Sukkot, it's not cold and or stormy, but actually quite warm and still rather summery. So here I am in my living room. And what I'd like to do now is turn to page 307 if you have the 2-volume set of Mishkan Tefillah, page 307 in the Weekdays and Festivals volume, or if you have the single combined volume, page 571, for the ritual of the taking of and waving of the lulav. So first we have a little song to sing. Feel free to sing along with me and my baritone ukulele. Hoshia et amecha uvarech et nachlatecha Morem, 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 morem benasem, morem benasem ad olam. Hoshia et amecha, uvarech et nachlatecha. Morem, 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 morem benasem ad olam. V'samachta Dechagecha, Dehaita Sameya, Vesamata Dechagecha, Dehaita Sameya, Dechamata Dechagecha, Dehaita Sameya. הושיע את עמך וברך את נחלתך מורם ונעשה מת עולם. All right, stay on the same page, and now we're going to switch venues to a sukkah. I'm still Don Levy, and we're in the sukkah of Keilat Netzach Yisrael, Congregation Netzach Yisrael in Ashkelon, Israel. And at this point, we're going to demonstrate the taking of the lulav, taking and shaking, and it's really very simple to do. You take the lulav, which lulav refers at its most minimal to the palm frond, but when we talk about the lulav, we usually mean the three species together: the lulav, the willow, and the myrtle. That we sometimes you get a fancy holder that holds everything together. I'm just holding them together with my own hand at this point, and the etrog. And so you'll take up the lulav, or the lulav plus, in your right hand, and the etrog in your left hand, and you'll take the pitom. That's this little nub, and you'll face it down. Okay, and now you'll say the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al nitilat lulav. And then if it's the first day of the festival, you'll also say Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheyanu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. At which point you turn the pitom up, and you will shake the lulav 3 times in each of 6 directions. Okay? Forward, right, behind, left, up, and down.
Rachim no Hashem Elokeinu Rachim Oyam Yisro Minahamecho Rachim V'yam Yerushalayim Yirecho Rachim 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 Yirachem Rachim no Hashem Elokeinu Rachim V'yam Yisro Minahamecho Rachim V'yam Yerushalayim Yirecho Rachim 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 Atzioi Mishkan Kevohidecho V'yam Machus Beis David Meshichecho V'yam Abayis HaGodel V'Yaakov Yirachem Rachem Rachem V'yam Tzion Mishkan Kevohidecho Al machus beis David Meshichecho Yal habayis hagodol leYaakov Rachem, Rachem, Be'amtzion mishkan kevohidecho Yal machus beis David Meshichecho Yal habayis hagodol leYaakov Rachem, Rachem, Rachem Be'amtzion mishkan kevohidecho Yal machus beis David Meshichecho